We're back. We said we would be, and here we are.
Yes, this is Edinburgh Festival 2008, and there is actually over 2,000 shows at the Fringe this year, isn't there?
It's amazing. And we're starting off with a big show we've got to tell you about. Everybody's raving about it. The Scotsman, 3 weeks.
Yes, everybody's raving.
Everybody's raving, that's true. Now, this is called Boys of the Empire.
And it's written by Edinburgh-born Glenn Chandler.
He was the creator and writer of Taggart.
Yes, and he's a very nice man.
He is, certainly.
He was showing me pictures of his dog the other night.
Was he really?
Yes,
well,
yes.
Lucky you. Now, this is a boys' own romp set in a 1920s public school. It's hilarious.
Where there's lots of beastliness going on.
And we caught up with him earlier.
Hello, I am Glenn Chandler, the author and co-producer of Boys of the Empire, which is a ripping boys' own yarn set around the British invasion of Iraq after the First World War, and it is set in a public school in the late 1920s. It is on every night at C+1 at 8 o'clock.
Iraq.
Iraq isn't part of the British Empire. We just occupy it.
Well, surely if we occupy it, it's part of the British Empire.
Iraq has a king. It's a sovereign country.
Then why are we occupying it?
Iraq may have a king, Asher, but he is a friend of Britain. We put him there, and that is why he invites us to occupy his ungrateful land. Camel, are you listening? Oh. Camel, do enter the discussion.
It's Kamal, sir. And if I did, you wouldn't like it.
Oh, I think that deafness again is afflicting me.
All right then. King Faisal isn't even an Iraqi. You put him in there. You feed us from the Turks, but who feeds us from you British? And another thing, he's a Sunni and doesn't represent 80% of the population, which is Shia, like me! That's all I've got to say.
I'm glad to hear it.
He's the British High Commissioner for Iraq.
I heard what you said. Well, that's no reason to come here and create trouble on your first day.
Sorry, trouble just seems to follow me. My father said he was sending me here because education isn't as important as learning to become a gentleman.
That's a very proper attitude for a High Commissioner.
He said I should choose my chums wisely.
You could make a worse choice than myself, I think.
Then you'll be my chum.
I'm unique.
You're an uncommon one, Warren.
Aren't those crumpets rather done?
Would you like me to butter them too?
My grandpa had a batsman like you. Maybe you're related.
I like plenty butter, don't you?
Oh, yes. Fancy a suck on my pipe?
Very rough.
Nonsense, old bean. It's smooth as your skin. This is a ripping crumpet.
The knack is getting the butter to melt through the holes.
One you have acquired.
One shouldn't leave it so long as all the butter melts through. The secret is to capture the moment where the butter lies thick on top, but has melted enough to make the inside moist.
My inside is very moist.
But not dripping.
As you say, one must capture the moment.
And now we have something very special this year.
Yes.
Because Broadway Baby's New York correspondent
Fritzi Andrade
has sent us in a report of some of the shows that we're previewing in New York before they arrived here in Edinburgh.
Oh, she lives there.
She does.
Yeah.
I'm Fritzi Andrade, reporting to you from the rooftops of New York City. Why, you ask? I was lucky enough to preview some of the shows heading over from our side of the ocean to Edinburgh at the 59 East 59th Street Theatre's East to Edinburgh Festival. Let's check them out.
I'm 25. Whether I'm 30, 25, or 40, I can say one thing right away. I have no right to live here, even though I basically love life.
My name is Christopher Domick, and I am doing the one-man play called Dirt by Robert Schneider. The show is about an illegal Iraqi immigrant who has come to the West to search for a better life. And when he gets here, he ends up on the streets selling roses.
You ate a whole onion.
You have to eat an onion in this show. I go out and buy Vandalia onions, or the sweetest I can find, and you commit to eating the onion. I can't say that I've gotten used to it yet. I certainly don't eat it as a hobby, but it's actually not that bad. The show will be running at the Gilded Balloon, Bistro Square 13, I believe, every day at 12:15 p.m. That is early afternoon, July 30th to August 17th.
You guys remember the Soviet Union? We have to because it's coming back. Although this time it's going to be called China. My name is Jeff Kreisler. I live in New York City, and I actually have two shows at this year's Fringe. One is Jeff Kreisler 08, which is an hour of politically minded absurdism at the Stand Comedy Club. And the other is a show called The Americans, which is an original comedic play/sketch show about an American family, a Republican dad, Democratic mom, and a daughter that represents the American people. American comedy clubs tend to be places for people to drink and forget about thinking. And I found that UK audiences, and I've been to Edinburgh before and I've been to Glasgow, they tend to be willing to think and to go along with the comedian and give them the benefit of the doubt, whereas American comedy audiences are much more temperamental and want to hear what they want to hear. But again, I think theater audiences around the world tend to be the same. They're open. Every day for the entire festival at 3 p.m., The Americans will be at the Gilded Balloon, and at 6:10 p.m., Jeff Kreisler 08 will be at the Stand Comedy Club. Come to both.
Well, there's a company, and here's the guest of honor. He's got his business shining, got a suit of armor. So this show is about a young woman who comes home to be a part of her father's campaign for governor, and the timing of that, the mismatch of that, the being inside of her not fitting in that world, trying really hard to be part of that, and then it just kind of cascades into a search and a plummet into finding herself.
I love going overseas with it because it's an American story that's not political or satirical or poking fun at our growth as a country.
It's some of the earliest songs I ever wrote and the most recent songs I've ever written, and they run that gamut in this show. And some of them were written for the show, some of them I had written just about my experience and they ended up in the show.
Right. In Edinburgh, George Square Theatre, 5:45, first 2 weeks of the festival. Then we moved to 2 o'clock, the rest of the festival. And it's all in queenofwyoming.com.
That's all we have for today. Make sure to check the Fringe Guide for local listings of the shows we've featured. From New York, I'm Fritzi Andrade, and we'll see you at the festival.
Well, that's it for today.
Yes, that's the end of the first Broadway Baby Vodcast. We'll see you in a few days.